Well, joining us now is the SNP MP and former First Minister of Scotland, Alex Salmond.
Morning.
So, the latest bombshell in a month of political bombshells is that the Trident decision may lead to potentially another referendum in Scotland.
Well, I mean, I thought Angus Robertson put it rather well. I mean, this is a government that Scotland didn't elect, who is just dragging Scotland out of Europe against the will of the people, and now is going to dump nuclear weapons on the country for the next half-century. I mean, what's not to like about that? So, yes, it's going to be very much part of the constitutional argument in Scotland as we move forward.
Isn't it a bit like the Remain debate, where most people in Scotland, yes, they voted Remain, but as long as Scotland is part of the UK, you have to accept these decisions when the UK makes a decision. Scotland can't operate as a little entity of its own that decides, well, we don't like Trident, therefore we can have a referendum and go independent.
Well, that's why I thought Angus put it well. I mean, Scotland's a nation. I mean, this is not just, you know, Scotland is a country, not a county.
But it is part of the UK.
Yes, but it's still a nation, and nations have rights which, you know, local authorities or even cities don't have. But then that's part of the debate, isn't it? You know, the choice for the Scottish people, do you want to be a nation which chooses whether to be part of Europe? Do you want to be a nation which chooses to be nuclear or non-nuclear?
Yeah, but the point I'm making is you can't...
And that's part of the constitutional debate.
But my point is it's sort of chicken and the egg. I don't think that you can legitimately, if you're part of the UK, consistently use individual issues as some trigger to just have another referendum because you fancy it. There was a referendum and Scotland lost.
Listen, this is not
sorry, let me rephrase that. The Scottish nationalists lost that argument.
Well, this is not just another issue. I mean, this has been part and parcel of the national debate in Scotland for the last 50 years. I mean, this was been part of the debate since the 1960s, since Polaris was... I mean, you're the only person who's old enough to remember, along with me, of course, the deployment of Polaris. So it's been an integral part of the debate. Nor is it just another issue. I mean, this is a half-century decision, a 200 billion lifetime decision.
Scotland had its chance to vote about the referendum of independence, knowing Scotland's position and the majority feeling about our nuclear programme. What has changed since that referendum which justifies having another one?
Interesting enough, during the referendum campaign, the First Minister of Wales probably unwisely said, look, if Scotland doesn't want Trident, we'll have it here. And I heard some of the Northern Irish MPs yesterday say, we'll have it in Northern Ireland. Well, you know, I think probably welcome to it would be the attitude of the Scottish people. But Piers, what is legitimate and not legitimate in politics? You're asking the question, will this add further fuel to the flames of the constitutional debate in Scotland? And the answer is yes.
Right, well, I accept that, yeah.
Yesterday, a really powerful moment. Theresa May, you know, making her sort of first address to Parliament as Prime Minister, and, you know, couldn't be a more critical issue. Would she put her finger on the button if the circumstances demanded it? We're in an increasingly dangerous world. What is the SNP's problem with the Trident nuclear deterrent system, and why do you think it doesn't keep us safer? Well,
look, there are a couple of hundred countries in the world, right? 190 of them rub along by without nuclear weapons. And unless you're the State of Israel, nobody seriously believes that a nation of 5.5 million people should possess nuclear weapons. So it's not a huge argument for an independent Scotland, because nobody would expect that to be a nuclear state. In terms
Why wouldn't they expect it to be a nuclear state?
Well, look, if a country of 5.5 million people...
You want to be a powerful state with a world voice,
well, that's the whole point, isn't it? I mean, you know, if we want to avoid mass proliferation and a nuclear nightmare and lots of people with their fingers on the button, not just Theresa May, then most people in the world, and the active policy is to avoid lots of countries having nuclear weapons.
Nobody has...
And countries of 5.5 million people should not have nuclear weapons.
Right, but here you go again, you see, basically annexing Scotland from the UK. It's not 5.5 million. I get it, but it's chicken and the egg is what I think. Is that as long as you're part of the UK, this covers more than just Scotland.
Can I offer you a couple of UK arguments? I mean, we're told, you know, this is really about protecting the UK against North Korea. Actually, you made the point earlier on this morning. Look, if you just wanted a weapon to protect yourself against North Korea, you wouldn't have tried. You know, you'd go back to having a Vulcan bomber with a delivery system with a... well, I apologise. You'd go back to having a Vulcan bomber
but we
system.
Haven't
you wouldn't have what... You know, Sir Humphrey Appleby and the Yes Minister, Prime Minister, describes this as the Rolls-Royce of nuclear weapons. And it certainly costs a lot more,
Right.
even than a Rolls
But
Royce.
we have had no nuclear attack since the Second World War, and many people would argue that one of the main reasons for that is that a number of strong powers in the world have nuclear capability, and that has deterred people from trying to launch a nuclear attack. Would you really want to be, in all good conscience, one of the driving forces for removing the UK's nuclear deterrent, and then running the risk of somebody somewhere deciding, we look vulnerable, we're going to attack you?
What I would argue is the less countries who have nuclear weapons, the less chance there is of an attack.
17 million people have voted for leave.
Yep.
Based, I don't know how many people voted on the basis of that advert, but that was a huge part of the propaganda. You're now saying that's a mistake.
We have a £10 billion a year, a £34 million a day feather bed. That is going to be free money that we can spend on the NHS,